All right, we are back with number 1.6. We are still busy with the controlled mock test for the November examination, paper 1, in preparation of that paper. And we are looking at the content of questions that would be asked in that paper, or the types of questions that we asked there. We are now at number 1.6. This question deals with rate, specifically distance, speed, and time. So it reads, Cindy travels 48 kilometers in 34 minutes and continues at a constant speed. How far will she have traveled in 1 hour and 30 minutes? So Cindy reis 48 kilometer in 34 minute en gaan voort teen 'n konstante spoed. Hoe ver sal Cindy reis in 1 uur en 30 minute? So let's have a look here. So we're dealing with speed, distance, and time. So let's just number this 1.6. And maybe it's a good idea just to remember that we are dealing with that little triangle where we have this division over here, D, S, and T. So that's speed multiplied by time to give us distance, distance divided by speed to give us the time, and distance divided by time to give us the speed. Right. So with that in mind, let's have a look at what do we need to calculate here. So Cindy travels for 8 kilometers 34 minutes and continues How far? So how far? How far has, so that's the question. In other words, distance. We need to calculate distance. Ons moet die afstand bereken. So we need to calculate D. Do we have the time? Yes, they ask us how far will she have traveled in 1 hour 30 minutes. So the time is 1 hour 30 minutes. But of course, when it comes to these calculations, we would like the time to be in hours. So to convert 1 hour and 30 minutes, of course, we know that's 1.5 hours or 1.5 hours. So that is sorted out. The speed, however, is the other thing that we're missing. And the speed is given to us in a not so comfortable format. It's 48 kilometers per 34 minutes, basically, to read it that way. Now, here we need to, of course, we would like to have speed in kilometers per hour and not per minute or in per 34 minutes. That's very awkward. So we need to convert this into a unit that reads kilometers per hour and not kilometers per 34 minutes or per minute. And the way to do that is to use, and this is one way to do it. I will only focus on this way in this question, in this recording. If you have, of course, your own method to get to the same answer, that is perfectly all right. But I will use this particular method in this question. So we know that there is 60 minutes in 1 hour. In other words, if I had to take this as a ratio, and I'm going to introduce maybe a concept that is not too familiar to everyone, but it's what we call sometimes a conversion factor, because 60 minutes and 1 hour are equivalent, they are equal. I can then say that 60 minutes over 1 hour is a ratio of 1 because they are equivalent. And I can also say that 1 hour over 60 minutes gives me 1 because 1 hour and 60 minutes are the same thing, and the same thing over itself is just 1. So that we can call a conversion factor. It's the same thing, but depending on what you want to convert to, you will either use this one or you'll use that one. In other words, if I want to eliminate minutes from my unit, which in this case I do, so minutes is in the denominator. In other words, I've got, if I can just rewrite this, I've got 48 kilometers, so this is another way of writing that ratio there, 48 kilometers per 34 minutes. So of course I don't want the speed to be written in that way. I want to write it in kilometers per hour. So I'm going to choose one of these conversion factors over here where the minutes that is in the denominator in my original speed, I want to use one where the minutes will cancel out with that minute unit so that I end up with a factor or a unit that is in kilometers per hour. So that means I'm going to choose this one because that one has 60 minutes in the numerator and 1 hour. So we are multiplying with a factor of 1, which means we're not really changing the regional speed, but we are also changing it, but we are ending up with the units that we want. So this means that I'm going to, if you notice here, because this is multiplication, I'm going to eliminate the minutes and I'm going to end up with kilometers in the numerator and hours in the denominator. So I will have a speed in kilometers per hour. So I just now need to do the calculation. So what is 48 multiplied by 60? And then also I need to divide by 34 because I'm basically just simplifying the fraction I see in front of me, multiplying the numerator with numerator, which is 48 times 60, and multiplying the denominator with denominator, which is 34 times 1. En dan kry ek 'n antwoord. Jy kan natuurlik op jou sakrekenaar kyk. Jy sal 'n antwoord kry van 84,705824. Natuurlik jou afronding gaan tot die jou afronding gaan wees tot 2 desimale plekke toe. So jy gaan sê 71. You're going to say 84,71, and your unit now is in the unit that you wanted, which is kilometers per hour. So the whole point of this conversion factor business is to change the units into what you want it to be. And we have done that. So now we've got speed. If I can go back here, this then I can rewrite as 84,71 kilometers per hour. So now I've got all the units and all the components that I need to calculate distance. So I just need to go make sure that I use the right formula. So here we see in the triangle that distance is equal to speed multiplied by time. Afstand is gelyk aan spoed vermenigvuldig met die tyd. So I can basically say then that my distance is equal to my speed, which is now 84,71 kilometers per hour, multiplied by my time, which is 1.5 hours, 1,5 uur. En natuurlijk dan, as ek dit so 84,71 vermenigvuldig met 1,5. Dit gee vir my 127,07 kilometer. 127,07 kilometers. Please note that your answer must be in kilometers because you're working with distance, you're calculating distance, so you cannot give me an answer that says kilometers per hour or anything else. It must be in kilometers only. And if you go back and check these units, if I had to do this separately, you will see that kilometers per hour multiplied by hour over 1, if I'm just working with the units, my hours will cancel and I'm left with kilometers as my final unit. So that then does check out. And that is then the answer to number 1.6.